All right, John, you there?
I am, Mike. It's good to see you.
You too. You hear me? It sounds okay?
Sounds great.
All right. Hey, John, we're recording, man. Don't say anything bad.
Uh, well, thank you for warning me.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I know we got some people jumping on here. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We're about 1 minute out. So we're excited. John, this has been a long time coming, man. This is great.
Yeah, 98, right? 98 until
man.
2020.
You're going to start dating me now, huh?
You haven't changed a bit, my friend.
Hey, listen, it's because, it's the shaved head. And don't worry. I got the gray and the goatee, man, but I just keep it a little trimmed up, It's the little things, man. It's the little things.
That's right.
All right. So got a couple more seconds here. We are recording. I always like to say that. And John's the lawyer here today. I'm facilitating his coach, but we always got to put the legalese in there.
There you go.
You are being recorded in the Zoom world. So if you have discomfort around any of those things, by all means, feel free to keep things to yourself. But we want to make sure that we know that let you know that we are recording. All right. So we got some people chiming in here. Good. My rule is on these webinars is if you get one person to show up, it's a success. Right?
There you go.
I had a buddy of mine last week. We were doing one, and he had like only 20 people show up, and I said, buddy, you got to quit looking at the numbers, man. It's all about changing lives. You're inspiring people to do things that are different. You record these and you distribute them. So I never get worried about that.
Changing the world one person at a time, right? That's what it's all about.
That's it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Here we are, 2 o'clock our time. I think it's 3 o'clock your time. I'm calling in from Phoenix, Arizona, hot Phoenix. It's 114 today. I think we broke our record of consecutive days or number of days over 110. So if 2020 and COVID wasn't bad enough, you throw a little heat on there on top of it. I know you're in there. John's coming in from Boise, Idaho. So before we get started, a couple things. I want to give a couple shout outs. Got to give a shout out to our school, baby. It wouldn't have happened without Cal Western School of Law in San Diego, California. I want to say thank you to Cal Western, not only for bringing John and I together back in 95, right?
95.
It's hard to believe that time has gone by, but also thanks for helping support us and getting this information out there. I know people have come in from Cal Western. And I can see a couple people here on our guest list that have come in from Cal Western. So shout out to Cal Western. Thanks for them. So, all right, let's get into this real quick. So let me explain this. John and we met literally in 95. I just graduated from UC San Diego. So I just meandered down the road from La Jolla to downtown and enrolled as a young law student. First few days of school, you meet your classmates. And of course, John and I then were just literally just friends from afar. You're the same classes and pass each other in the hallway. But after your first year of school, as you all know, it's kind of like going to war together, getting called out in front of Mr. Stiglitz back in the day, embarrassing times, right? We both graduated, both got the heck out of school. We wanted to get back out in the world in 98. I went one path, which is to go work for Anthony Robbins as a speaker and a coach. John diverted to practice, and he followed the path that was normal. You graduate school, and you law school, and you go become a lawyer. That makes sense, right? I was kind of the oddball, but I'm glad that our paths may have ventured one way, but they've come back. So I'm going to let John tell his story in a little bit, but he is a practicing attorney. That's the most important thing. But for the greater part of 10 years, he's been mentoring and coaching not only young attorneys, but people in solo practitioners, small firms, people that are building their business. So during these crazy COVID times, we kind of reunited our minds around what's going on in the world, what's going on in business. And we thought how neat it would be to share ideas in terms of coaching. So I want people to hear what John's talking about today, not just from a perspective of a practicing attorney of 20 plus years, but also someone who's been mentoring, coaching other attorneys in the last 10 years and really formalizing his practice in the last few years. So it's been nice to see these kind of come into my world of coaching and mentoring and really helping people kind of get to that coveted next level that we talked about. So John, thanks for coming in, man. And I wanted you to say hello and tell us a little bit about this title and how this came about.
Yeah, well, Mike, it's great to be here. It's great to be here with you, brother. It's always good to see you. It's the magic of the world that we live in that we can stay close and yet be so far away. And so I appreciate you, sharing this journey with me. So the title today is Breaking Out of the Insanity Loop, right? And it has to do with practice in 2020. But as I was thinking about it, it's a really timeless topic because attorneys sometimes do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, or don't even think about it, right? Just do the same thing over and over again. And so it's a topic that's timely in 2020. It would have been a topic that was timely back in 98 when we graduated from law school, and it'll be a topic that'll be timely 5 years from now. Sure, the nuts and bolts might change over time, but the fact that either attorneys don't think about it, or they're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is just that's kind of where we're at. And so it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've coached on. It's something that I've talked with people from all over the country about. And we thought we'd get together today and maybe share a little bit of knowledge.
Hey, John, I got a surprise for you, man. Look what I found.
Oh, no, the Facebook.
It's called, get this, guys out there in the world. This was in 1995, 96, 97. It says the student Facebook. We were ahead of our times.
That's
Facebook.
right.
But here's the better part, guys. Look at that guy. That's you, brother. That's you. All right.
So I had hair back then, my friend.
I got to be fair. So here's me, right? Look at that bald guy right there with the goatee. So I thought it'd be great to show that. I couldn't believe I came across this today. So shout out to our student Facebook.
I think maybe Mr. Zuckerberg might owe us a little bit of money for that.
Oh, I agree. So I had to do it. Hey, so John, real quick, we're going to talk a lot about, the coaching practice, what you've done as an attorney, but I think people need to hear your journey. You graduate, obviously you're a family guy. Tell us kind of the journey on how you got here today, which includes, the end of that story is the last 10 years of life and where you become passionate about mentoring and coaching most recently.
Absolutely. So, graduated from law school back in 98. And moved to Boise, Idaho. My wife, Michelle, and I were married at the time. We had been married for a while. I actually had a daughter, Allie, who was 2 when I started law school.
Wow.
Law school was a second career for me. I was in healthcare before that. I went to law school. We moved up to Boise, Idaho. My wife will tell the story that she had 3 questions. She had never been here before, and she gave the thumbs up to moving. She had 3 questions. Are the streets paved? Is there at least one traffic light? And this will tell you about the times. Is there a Blockbuster Video? True story. And so we moved up here to Boise, and I went to work at the Idaho Court of Appeals. I did a clerkship, protected myself from the real world for a little bit, the real lawyer world for a couple of years. It was the best thing that I could have ever done. And then went out into the lawyer world. I worked for the Idaho Attorney General's office for a couple of years, went into private practice at a what I would call a small law firm. There were 11 partners out in a town outside of Boise. And then in 2006, a couple of buddies of mine who clerked with me at the Court of Appeals thought, you know what, we can do this better. We could build a better mousetrap. So in 2006, we opened what's now Kormanik and Sneed, my law firm here. And started our journey.
What about the latter part of this? The best chapter of all is the coaching mentor. I mean, there's got to be something there that triggered inside of you that said, hey, there's more to this practicing law and building a business and taking care of your family, but this intrigue of mentoring people and coaching people. And now that was my intrigue when I started working at the Robbins organization, was the aha moments people would have when you'd help people break through or ask a good question or whatever. So I was curious about that part of it.
Absolutely. So, hit the ground running, head down, really focused on running the law firm for the first couple of years. And what got me thinking was one of my partners was famous for just saying, you know what, I just want to practice law. And I sat back and I thought, well, you can't just practice law and own a law firm. Those 2 things don't go together. So probably in 2009, 2010, I really started focusing in my free time on mentoring young attorneys or attorneys who had been in the business for a little while and giving them a different perspective, presenting at seminars throughout the country, meeting people and talking with them about what their practice looks like, what their life looks like, and is it what they expected it to be and what they wanted it to be. You know, the most depressing thing that I would hear was, I would never tell my kid to be a lawyer. And that just depresses the heck out of me, because I think the law is a great profession if you have an understanding when you're your own boss that you're not just a lawyer, you're an entrepreneur first and you're a lawyer second. And if you can figure that out, and that's what I help people do, is figure out how to do that, your happiness quotient goes off the charts. You have a better work-life balance, and you do the things that you want to do. And so, you know, I've gotten to a point in my life, I'm in my mid to late 50s. I've gotten to a point in my life where I helped people in my healthcare career. I've helped people in my legal career. And now my heart is drawn and my focus is on my brothers and sisters who are in the legal field and helping them get to where they, quite frankly, didn't even imagine that they could get to. So that's where the coaching has come in, and it's been a decade.
Now, by the way, when John and I were talking this past year, that language pattern that he just said, brothers and sisters, and in my world of coaching, I've coached all verticals, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, athletes. When you hear somebody say that about their profession, you know they mean it. Like, they love the people they work with. They love their passion. And when somebody's, gets upset when somebody says, "Oh, don't tell your kids to go to law school," that's one thing about you, John, that I've always appreciated, because your passion, not for the law, but for the community itself. Thus, you wouldn't be in this position here today sharing what you're sharing, right?
Exactly. You know, the people are the thing to me. And, I call them brothers and sisters because they truly are brothers and sisters. Even if, folks are on here that I've never met, I'll tell you what, you pick up the phone, you call me, we'll have a solid conversation. That's what I'm about. It's about the people in there. You hear, about tribes and about peoples and all that stuff. And solo and small law firm folks are my tribe. They're my people. They're who I care about. And some would say I care too much about the people I interact with. And I would say that's just who I am.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. I picked up on that long time ago, my friend, when I met you, and obviously it stayed through your profession. So it's nice to hear. It's refreshing. All right. So before we get into your strategies, and that's why a lot of people are here today, they want to hear the juice. All right, John, you're doing this. You want to hear some things that they can take away, go do tomorrow, get out of that should zone that you talk about. Before you do, I know you do a lot of research in preparation for these statistics or some data. People can't argue with the facts. You, as an entrepreneur, and hopefully you're listening as an entrepreneur out there, not just a practicing lawyer, what are some of these data points you can share with us before we get to the strategies?
Absolutely. I'll disagree with you because we're in a time where people are disagreeing with facts.
Good point. Good point. Good point.
I research, right? And again, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, right? That's who I am. That's the hat I wear when I go to the office. I'm an entrepreneur. And the greatest fear is failure, right? Oh my goodness, there's not going to be money. My business is going to fail. And that was a huge discussion that my two partners at the time and I and our families had when we first started the law firm. The statistics have been relatively constant over this past 15-year period. A little over 21% of new businesses fail in the first year. You get to year 2 and it's up to 30% of businesses have failed. Year 5, it's 50%. And year 10, it's 70%. I'm proud that the business that I created out of nothing in 2006 is past that 10-year mark. So I'm in the 30% that have survived that long, but we're not surviving, we're thriving. And when you drill down a little bit deeper into those numbers, over a third of businesses fail due to a lack of cash. Okay. And that's just a fact. And surprising to me on one hand, but on the other hand, not so much, is 10% of businesses fail due to either the lack of vision or the loss of their way with their vision. And everything, all the reasons that businesses fail can be addressed either before or during so that they don't fail.
Well, I think that's a good segue right there on that bullet point, because it's your first strategy. Number one thing you want to share with today is a little bit about that, right? Let's talk a little bit about strategy number one.
Exactly. You know, my strategy number one is money, right? You gotta look at the money. You gotta be real about the money. You've gotta be smart about the money. You know, lawyers, especially solo and small law firm lawyers, are constantly worried. They stay up at night wondering where the next client's going to come from. And why is that? Of course, it's the money. The folks that I work with, the people that I talk to, you know, when I ask them, you know, well, what's your money situation like at your firm? And their answer is, well, I have a balance in my bank account. I have a positive balance. And to me, that's not enough. Okay. As a solo or small law firm owner, you deserve to have a dividend. You are an investor. You are taking risk. You're not just an employee. You're doing so much more. And so just looking in your bank account and saying, hey, there's a balance there, I'm fine, to me is not the way to go, right? You should be paid a profit no matter how much money you're making. If you're just starting out and you're making $50,000 gross a year, you deserve to have a profit out of that. That is paying you for what you've done by creating something out of nothing. Listen, solo and small law firms are the backbone of the legal industry. Just like solo and small businesses are the backbone of the American economy. We are, and we should be treated accordingly. And as a business owner, that's how you have to treat yourself. So balance in the bank account is not it. There are ways that you can look at things differently, and I help people do that kind of stuff.
I love it. I love it. One thing that was taught to me a long time ago, before I built my practice, I had a mentor. He asked me, you know, what's your goal in like your first couple of years of income or, you know, revenue targets? To me, it was solo. It was just how much money do I want to make? I wasn't thinking about revenue and profits and EBITDA. And I said 100 grand. If I could make 100 grand, that'd be amazing, right? Which he said, well, how much is that a month? Of course, I didn't know that at the time. Now I know it's $8,333.33. I know that like the back of my hand, because that was my first big benchmark. And he said, no, but if you had to like take away the limiting belief about yourself, like if you had to wave the magic wand, how much you really want to make? And I remember I said, golly, like $250,000 would be amazing. And he said, let me tell you something, Mike. He goes, you can't make $250,000 a year with $100,000 a year belief system. It's not going to work. And that's when I really heard the belief system conversation. So what I heard you say is, you know, if your belief is just be positive or just have money in the bank, you know, have money in the bank or be in the black, not in the red. It's to elevate your standard in your mind, right? Your belief system that says, I can't think that way anymore. I've got to now put it into measurement, but raise my standard. And I think that's a lot of times what we become afraid of, right?
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, I firmly believe that there are very few external things that limit what I as a person can do. I limit myself, and it all starts right here in my head. Mm-hmm. That's where it is, right? And over these years, I've been able to break out of that. And, you know, I've been able to help others, you know, other solo and small law firm owners and other attorneys just in general break out of that. And, you know, quite frankly, Mike, it comes from, there was a time when I did Ironman triathlons, right? The full thing, you know, 2.4 mile swim, 100 and some odd miles on the bike, and a 26.2 mile run at the end. And nobody thinks that they can do that. That's crazy, right? And to do it all in 17 hours, that's nuts. I did it 3 times, and I trained for them 3 times. One of them was down in your neck of the woods down in Arizona. And once you make one breakthrough like that, once you realize that you are the person who's just limiting yourself, it all opens up. Everything opens up for you.
I love it. I love it. Beliefs drive behaviors. out there. Remember that takeaway: beliefs drive behaviors. All right. Second, I know you have a number two strategy, and how could you not talk about this? Right, the people. It's all a relationship game, no matter how you look at it. But I want to hear your take on it.
Yeah, you know, the people that you surround yourself with, first of all, it's important that you know who you're surrounding yourself with, right? It's important to know who you're bringing into your family. I think of my law firm as a family. I treat employees like their family, whether they're employees based where I am, or employees based remotely, or employees that I use on a per diem basis out in the world, somewhere else in the world, right? I hired someone from the website called Upwork to help me with some discovery and put it into manageable database. And she's from California, from up there by Temecula. And we had a relationship, and I know that I can reach out to her at any time and get her on board for another project. But the people that you bring in, you know, I read a story about how the Four Seasons hotel chain hires folks. And they don't hire based on talent. They really don't. They hire based on the potential person or employee's fit with the vision and the culture. You can teach folks to do just about anything if they're willing to learn. If they don't fit into your culture, then they're not going to be the right person for you. And, you know, I just heard, it's funny, I heard this morning Nick Saban talking about what spring practice at the University of Alabama is about. It's about getting the right people in the right seats on the bus so that they can do the right jobs, and getting the wrong people off the bus. And what you want to do when you're thinking about hiring, when you're thinking about bringing people on, again, whether it's in-house, remote, or these distanced folks, is to make sure that they fit within your culture. Because if they don't fit within your culture, it's just not going to work. It's a matter of time before it doesn't work. And you've invested time, you've invested money, you've invested resources in bringing these people up to speed. And if they just leave and they're not a fit for your culture, then you're just spending money, you're not investing in them. And that's not good for you as a business owner.
Yeah. I have one of my biggest clients, a financial planner in the Midwest, and he's got this thing, TCT. It's part of his culture: time, capital, talent. Time, capital, talent. You know, they manage almost everything they do. Hiring, recruiting, training has to go through the TCT model. If it doesn't fit the model, it doesn't work, period. By the way, I love that. Nick Saban, for those who don't know, he's one of the best coaches out there, whether you like the SEC or you don't like Alabama or not. It's hard to argue the data points. He's a winner. The guy knows how to win championships, and he's a very well-read guy. One of the things that he draws from is a book called Good to Great, by Jim Collins, which was written eons ago, 25 years ago. Some of those companies aren't even around. But Jim Great talks about great companies. What do? They get the people on the bus, and figure out where they sit. So what John's talking about is this mindset's been around for a while, but it's, do you listen to it? Do you follow your gut instinct, or are you hiring because you have to, or because you're desperate? You know, bringing someone on because you're abundant. Maybe you have to pay them a little bit more money, but guess what? They fit what John's talking about. I love that. So, all right, let's get to number 3. You gotta have this, right? What's coming out of the eyes? I gotta hear about this from your take. I love this.
Listen, if you don't have a vision for your practice, you don't really have a clue. Okay, I'm gonna be straight. If you don't have a vision, you don't have a clue. You got to know where you want to go in order to get there. Think about getting in your car and driving somewhere, and you don't know where you're going. So when do you stop? Do you run out of gas? What do you do? You know, we have a river that runs right through town here in Boise, the mighty Boise River, and people float it in the summertime on rafts and stuff. It's a great resource for the community. But, you know, I stand on some bridges overlooking overlooking the river, and some people are really, you know, they're really in control of their boat. They're directing it where to go. They're engaged, and they know where they're going. Other people just let the river push them, and the river pushes them wherever the river chooses to do. And so that's the analogy that I like to use with lawyers is, if you don't have a vision and you're just letting the current of the river push you wherever the river wants it to go, you need to take charge. And how I deal with vision with folks, first of all, if it's written, it's real. If it ain't written down, I don't even want to hear it, right? It's not a vision. It's a thought. You got to write it down, because if you don't write it down, it's not real. And I go from someday to, okay, you want that someday? Where you got to be in 5 years? What do you got to do in the next 5 years to get there? All right, you got to do that in 5 years. What do you got to do this year to get there? Okay, that's what you got to do this year. What do you got to do this quarter to get there? Okay, that's what you got to do this quarter. What do you got to do this week to get there? All right, that's what you got to do this week. What do you have to do today? What is one thing to do today? And I know we're going to talk about this at the end. What is one thing to do today to get you to where you want to go someday? And, it's crazy how many folks just don't think about that kind of stuff. I had a conversation with a lawyer the other day who I'm engaged with. And so I said, what's your vision for your practice? Well, I want to leave a legacy. I said, okay, well, what does that look like? Well, I'm not quite sure. I said, well, we can certainly talk about that, because until you are sure about it, and it can change, of course, but until you're sure about it, you're directionless, floating down the river, letting the current push you where it wants to go.
Yeah, I love that. What I put right on that from my coaching world is, on top of vision, right behind it or next to it is, and this is a whole different webinar, is purpose and why. What's your purpose? What's your drive? What's your why? What keeps you up at night? What wakes you up in the morning? What gets you out of bed? And I think, but you can't get to the purpose why stuff if you don't have that vision first. You get the vision, like you said, 5, 3, 1, back it out, and then you put purpose and why around that. Oh my gosh, that's when people become lethal. That's when people become passionate, and you can't stop those individuals. There's a certain look in their eye because they're so congruent, right? Walk their talk, talk their walk. So vision, guys, that's so important, especially especially for folks that are chiming in today, coming out of school. I know we got some young attorneys on here. I don't remember at Cal Western, one thing I remember about our school being so great was hands-on. I mean, we had local attorneys coming in, teaching law in the courtroom. I mean, I knew the book of evidence, thanks to Mario Conte, like this. I mean,
Mario Conte, one of my favorites.
Again, one of my mentors, by the way. Love Mario. But having that hands-on that some schools don't have. But having that vision and goal when you come out of school or you're in your first year or two, it's writing it down, sharing it with other people, be measurable. I mean, those are so important to talk about. So let's get to the fourth one. I know that the T factor is a big one, because we could talk all day long about vision and people, but if we don't hit the fourth one, irrelevant.
Yeah, the T factor, like you called it, time. Everybody's got 168 hours in a week. Everybody does. Albert Einstein had 168 hours in a week. Thomas Edison, 168 hours. Steve Jobs, Mark Cuban, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all 168 hours, right? That's what it is. Time is our most precious resource. We cannot make more of it. We can always make more money. We can always mend relationships with people. The clock ticks and it doesn't stop. So you need to really focus on where you're using your time and how you're using your time. I did a webinar on this a couple weeks ago, just talking about time. And there's a spreadsheet, there's a tool out there. I'm happy to send it to folks who want it. Just track your time for a week and find out where you spend it, how you use your time. I will say, and then ask yourself, am I spending my time or am I investing my time? If time is our most valuable resource, and it is, then do you just want to spend it or do you want to invest it? Do you want to get an ROI? Do you want to get a return on your investment as you use your time? My answer to that is, heck yes, I want a return on that investment. I don't want to just spend my time. Whether it's, when my daughter was growing up, coaching her basketball team, her Y-ball team, or her softball team, or doing things with her, or doing things with my wife, or doing things with my friends, or in my practice, taking time and working on my business, right? Figuring things out, figuring out how they work, whether it's engaging with coaching clients, talking with them. Those are all investments in my time. Like I talked about before, my brothers and sisters in the law are my passion. Your success is my success, right? That's where I get my juice from. And so when I'm working with people and they have aha moments, they're just like, oh my gosh, I never thought of things that way before. Or John, I never thought that big before, or I never thought that I could get to that level, and they do, and they realize it. That's where I get the return on my investment of my time with folks. And so, yeah, the T factor, right? Are you gonna spend it, or are you gonna invest it? And I'll tell you, as a lawyer, you deserve to invest your time. You deserve a return on that investment. You've spent a lot of money and a lot of sweat and a lot of tears to get to where you are. And this is something that you deserve. Trust me when I tell you, you may not think so. Open up your mind. You deserve to invest your time.
Love it. I love it. When you made the comment about, the investment of time versus not, it reminds me of a coaching client I've worked with for years. Now we're dear friends. Started working with him years ago. He's at Guardian Life Insurance, one of the top sales producers there for years and years. And he told me his belief system about time during the work week. He's very social in that business. You're entertaining, you're golfing, you happy hours, the lunches and stuff. So he had sent me his goal plan for the year. What's written is real, right, John? He wrote it down. He made a commitment to it. And I read this, and he's got this whole pillar dedicated to his work relationships, social and otherwise. But he had it segmented into two parts. One said revenue generating friends, and the other one was non-revenue generating friends, which I had never seen that written down in my life. So I asked him, I go, buddy, you got to explain this to me. This is great. He's like, Mike, it's real simple. He goes, Monday through Friday is my production time. I'm making money. I get paid to make money for my organization, to take home, for my family. His wife was a stay-home mother, had 4 kids. It's his job. So he valued every minute. So when somebody would call him out of the blue and say, hey, buddy, let's go grab lunch on Thursday. He normally would like to go do that. That's fun. But he would put it through the boxes and go, let's see, Thursday at noon, that's revenue generation time. I'm not going to go meet this guy because he's non-revenue generating. He's not making me money. He's not paying me to pay myself, my company. So everything he did, he was very stringent about where he spent his time during the work week. Now, you want to go grab happy hour at 5 o'clock on Friday with a non-revenue generating friend, then that's okay. But when it's work time, now again, most people I know don't think that way. Most entrepreneurs don't think that way. He's a 1%er in his industry. That's a 1%er mindset. So you go into our, the legal community, how many lawyers do you know that apply that concept? They say, you want to grab lunch? Let's go grab lunch. Oh my gosh, somebody actually wants to meet for lunch, rather than saying, nope, can't meet. It's going to take away from my investment of time for myself. So I think what you say is very important. I think that mindset is such a key to be a keeper of the time, right?
Absolutely. You have to be mindful, and you could be as militant as your friend or not, but as long as you're mindful about it. And just one more thing about time. If you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. You just have to. You may not think of it that way, but that is the truth. If you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. Mike, your buddy, if I say yes to lunch at noon on Thursday, I have to say no to a revenue generating activity. Is that fair to my boss? Is it fair to me? Is it fair to my family? Those are the filters that you have to go through. When you're mindful about it and you use that process, thinking, if I say yes to this, then I have to say no to something else. What is it that I'm saying no to? Then you get to make your decision. And that's fine. That's a personal choice. But as long as you're doing it and you're aware, that's what it's about.
Love it. I love it. All right, let's get to our 5th big bullet point, and then we're going to give some bonus material. By the way, anyone out there, if you have any questions on the Zoom platform, obviously at the bottom, there's Q&A. I'll read those. John's focused on this, so I'll be the one monitoring any Q&A. I've got some ones that have already come my way that I want to ask you at the end. So we'll be doing that after the 5th point. So obviously 1, 2, 3, 4 is great, but it can't really work until we get the 5th one in there. So you got to hit it. What's number 5?
Yeah, execution, right? There are people in the world who will read voraciously. They read. They know a lot of stuff. And confession here, I was one of them. I was one of the people who would read and I'm like, that's a great concept, and file it away. And then read something else. That's a great concept. And then file it away. And one day, my wife, Michelle, bless her heart, this coming September, it'll be 31 years.
Wow.
We've been married. She said, John, you have all those damn books on the shelf. Are you doing anything with them other than read them? And this was about 10 years ago. And I said, that's a great point. And so execution, it's about execution. It's about looking at your vision. It's about determining what you want to do with your time. It's about figuring out, that someday 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, quarter, week, day, and then executing. You have to execute to move forward, right? A plan without execution is just a dream. Somebody really smart said that. I didn't make that up. Somebody really smart said it. What you have to get in there, right? And you have to do sometimes the scary stuff, right? It's scary. But the first time that I did a webinar like this, or stepped up on a stage in front of my peers, or stepped into the courtroom to make an argument or argue in front of a jury, that's scary stuff. But if you don't put yourself out there and you don't start doing the thing, then you're never going to get anywhere. And that's the definition of insanity, right? That's what we're talking about today, is either doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, or thinking about stuff, thinking about how you want your practice to be, how you want your life to be, how you want your work-life balance to be, which is a whole nother webinar. How you want these things to be, and not taking action, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just not. You're not even in the river having it push you along. You're standing on the side of the river with your boat next to you, watching people go by and not getting anywhere at all. So execution is where the rubber meets the road. It's where it's at, and it's what you got to do. Whether it's something big or something small, you have to move forward and do something to get there.
All right. I love it. All right. So we'll recap these. Obviously, we've got the money aspect, the people, the vision, time, execution, 5 key things. Now, here's the thing, everyone out there, is find the one thing. If you did all 5, you're an overachiever, the way I look at it. You did one and you did it well, that was time well spent. But I want to talk about a question that's come up here is, you talk about coaching. Obviously, I've been doing this for 22 years in my world, and I coach many verticals. So I'm not just into one, but in the world of legal, and I can speak from truth here. By the way, my wife is Monica Lindstrom. For those that didn't know, she was Monica Gribbelin back in school. I met my wife in law school. She was a graduate of 98 as well, friends of both of us. Now we have 2 kids, 12 and 8, 12 and 9. So my world's the legal world. She still practices and has her own mediation practice. So I'm in that world a lot through her, right? So, but people talk about, okay, logical thinkers, there's black and white, there's gray, this whole coaching thing. In my world, a lot of times you get naysayers. So like, oh man, motivational Mike, he's got a gift for it, but that's just not my thing, right? So I love your approach because you come from it. That's your cloth. That's your practice. You can speak at it so much more congruently from your viewpoint than I come from it. So the question is, how does this work? I mean, you hire someone like yourself to engage. Like, walk us through something, or maybe you give an example of something that somebody you've worked with, so how it works in the legal world.
You bet. And listen, I get it, right? I get it. I get kind of the skepticism, around coaching. There's a couple things I'll say to that. Number one, Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympic athlete, arguably, of all times, had a coach on deck with him all the time. A coach can be somebody who is someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to talk through things. It's so important when you're, as attorneys, we kind of get into the practice of law. It's what we're comfortable with. It's what we're trained on. It's what we're A+ at, right? We're A+ lawyers, especially if you're from Cal Western. If you could be above A+, I'd give you that, because Cal Western, what a great place to be, great place to learn. Caring professors always took time, and I know they still do, take time for their students. Fantastic. So if you're a Cal Western graduate, you are an A+ lawyer, hands down. There's no doubt in my mind. Absolutely none. But that's not enough. If you're a solo or small law firm owner, it's not enough to be a great lawyer, right? You can be like my old partner. He's since moved on and is happy where he is. We're still great friends, love him to death. But he was, I just want to practice law. You can't. That's not who you can be. And a coach is going to help you with that, right? So what I do is I do a deep dive. I come in and we'll do a deep dive into the things we talked about: your money, your people, your processes, all of those things to find out where you are today. The next thing we do is we sit down and we talk about vision. If you've got a vision, great. How do those things that we've addressed, we've assessed, how do they fit into your vision? If they do, great. If they don't, why are you doing it? What's going on with that? We talk about that. Create your vision, and then we execute, right? I'll be honest with you. As a coach, my job is to ask hard questions, insightful questions, get you thinking. Your job is to do the hard work. Because if you're not going to do the hard work, then nothing's going to change, and you're going to be in that insanity loop. So that's how my practice works. That's how my process works, right? We assess, we define, and we execute. Always executing. Always, 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 always. What does accountability look like for you around this thing that you say you want to do? What does it look like? How do you filter the decisions that you make about investing your time? How do you filter those decisions through your purpose, your why, and your vision? Does it fit with all three? If it doesn't, why are you doing it? It's easy to get distracted, right? It's easy to say, oh my goodness, everybody's doing Google AdWords. I've got this guy calling me. That's what I need to do. Well, do you? The question is, do you, right? And if that's a decision that you make, as long as you're informed and you're making it based on your values and your vision and your purpose, then that's great, right? My job as a coach is to help you kind of get all that stuff together in your head, get the filters in place. And listen, I'll be honest with you. My job is to get you going and then have you continue to execute on your own. This is not a lifetime thing. Mm-hmm. I'm a mentor. I'll always be here for you. I'll always be here for my people, always. But, it's to get you focused, get you right as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, and then watch you fly. And that's kind of where I get my joy and my juice.
I love it. I love it. So before we're on the home stretch here, team. So hang with us. We got people on here still on us. Love it. You're hanging with us the whole time. I love it when people hang with us the whole time. You see people come and go. But we got a sticky group. I love it. Before we hit a couple bonus pieces, I wanted to say this, and I don't mind sharing this. So John. So the question is, so John's coaching. Well, who's coaching John? Well, that's one of the relationships, we've already had a friendship. Let me be very clear. We're friends first. And when he calls me up in this last year and says, Mike, I want to engage in a process with you. I said, John, we're buddies. Let's just have a couple calls. He's like, no. He goes, come on, man, walk your talk. Don't offend me. I want to engage in a process where the coach is being coached. You're going to be able to see where I want to go, lift up the hood, find out where in my practice we're different, show me some blind spots, and let's formalize this thing. Let's do it. So that's what we've been doing this whole year. Same thing for me. I have two coaches in my life, my mentor and my coach from way back in the Robbins days, Dan Lear. He's been my coach since day one. He's the guy that hired me back then. He was in my wedding, my best friend. He was just in town last week. breakfast and he rips me up. I mean, we've known each other for so long, but he has my back. You know, he's going to tell me the truth. He's going to call me out. And that's one thing I love about the coaching relationship, just like I would do with you, John, just like you do with me. When you have that kind of relationship with the people that you surround yourself with, you have accountability, and you're always going to have people that are looking out for your best interest. So I want to say thanks for that between you and I, because there's always coaches coaching the coaches, right? That's always there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I was looking through my Facebook messages the other day, and I stumbled across the one that I sent to you saying, hey, listen, Mike, you know, I'm formalizing my training for my coaching. I had picked a program. Listen, you know, I'm a guy who thinks it's important to do things the right way. Okay. And so I went to IPEC, and now I'm a certified professional coach. Even though I've been doing it for years and years, I wanted to do it the right way. So I got my certification, and I reached out to a guy who has made it his career to coach people and do it the right way. And so, Mike, you know, I can't tell you enough. You know, again, a shout out to Cal Western for bringing Mike and I together, right? It's the universe. We were there at the same time. A shout out to Cal Western for, you know, promoting this webinar on the alumni website. I'm super proud. Anytime anybody asks me about my time in law school, I've got nothing but the best things to say, from the old classrooms before the new buildings were built, to studying in the basement of the library for finals. Great times there. And Mike, you know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, brother.
No, thank you, man. Yeah, you said the basement. This anchor came over me. This smell triggered in my brain. I got tense right when you said it, man. Oh my gosh! Think about how the olfactory can trigger memories. All right, let's leave everybody with some bonus material, because the 5 strategies are great. Like I said, if you did 1, great. If you did 5, but commit. Write stuff down. Take inventory. Literally do your budget. Think about everything from a financial perspective. But you mentioned a couple of things in our prep I thought would be great to leave everybody with before we go. Some bonus material is what I call it. Things that are kind of out of the 5. These are maybe some technologies or some things, because you and I both know what people do and don't take advantage of, but they should take that should and turn it into a must. Quit shoulding on themselves. I said should. What are some of those bonus materials real quick before we wrap up?
Well, you know, it's interesting. If you've got a practice management software like Clio or like Practice Panther, get under the hood. Okay, look at it from not just a practice management software, but look at it from how you can use it for marketing. I can tell you that I use a practice management software, and it integrates with MailChimp, which is something that solo or entrepreneurs use to stay in touch with their mailing list, right? There's all this talk about the funnel and the sales funnel and all this, that if you want to talk about that with me, I'm happy to take the time to talk about it. But does your practice management software integrate with a customer relationship software so that you can send out automated emails? If you have clients who are, the statistics show, are your best referral sources. Satisfied clients are your best referral sources, hands down. So if you keep in touch with them, even though it's an automated system, you keep in touch with them, you're going to stay top of mind. For me, as a criminal defense attorney, I stay in touch with folks. And when a friend needs help, or a colleague needs help, they reach out to me because I'm top of mind, even though I've represented these folks, some of them, over a decade ago, right? They're constantly hearing from me, not in an annoying way, actually in quite the opposite, a non-legal way. I do emails to them talking about vegan recipes. I've been a vegan for about 10 years now. And so I'll send vegan recipes. We'll talk about what we're doing in the community as a law firm. I'll talk about trips that I've taken and share photos with them, just to kind of stay top of mind and stay connected. Again, my clients are important to me, and the personal connection that I have with them is really important. So that's one thing. Is your practice management software, does it connect with an automated email system?
The other thing I'll leave over with this, because I know this is one you use a different technology, BombBomb. I use Vidyard, Vidyard. It's like video yard, Vidyard. Costs nothing. There's free versions of it. I have the upgraded version. I think I pay $15 a month. So I do video marketing just like you do, John. You just use a different technology. It's the same thing. You put it on your laptop, hit the record button. I do a 90-second video. I can do a personalized video to a client, to a prospect, to anybody. I mean, it's you can use it for whatever you want. But at this day of COVID, if people don't want to meet face to face, they can't meet face to face. They're tired of getting bombarded with emails or LinkedIn direct messages. So using video technology, I know you're doing that. I already know. I was talking to my wife. 99% of her, she uses it, but a lot of her, she's involved in media and she's kind of a little tech savvy in that regard. But I was asking of all our friends, and I named them off. She said, no, no one does that. No one does the video stuff, whether it's they don't look good, they don't like their stuff on camera, they don't like their backdrop, they're not tech savvy. Those are all limiting beliefs in my mind. You can learn how to do it. You don't need to look pretty. Maybe you put on your COVID 15 pounds. Who cares? Everybody has, right? So people want to see your face, man. That's one of the things about video marketing that I see all industries. This is not a legal jab at all. This is my sales team, my finance guys, any verticals I'm always beating up. Video marketing. It's relatively cheap. You can do it on your phone. Just turn that thing around, hit record, put it up on YouTube, put the link out there, and now you have a different way of communicating that majority of people in the community are not. That's how you separate yourself. So I know you're doing it very successful. I know I'm having fun with it too.
That's exactly right, Mike. And you know what? I will tell you that I started using BombBomb, B-O-M-B, about 5 years ago. And I use it when I communicate with clients. We all know that email doesn't always tell the whole story. But when I take my phone and I shoot a video, if I'm outside the courthouse or if I'm walking home and I want to reach out to a current client, give them an update about what's going on, client satisfaction goes off the charts. It goes off the charts. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a response like, what is this? This is great. Why did you take the time to do this? Well, I took the time to do it because I care about you. And I know that email doesn't always work. And so I wanted to send you a quick video, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. You know what? We talked before about, sometimes having to do things that are uncomfortable in order to move forward, in order to separate yourself from the pack. If a video makes you uncomfortable, you know what? Shoot some videos and send them to your family just to practice. It's cool, right? Send it to yourself. I don't like the way I look on video, but that's okay. But I send it, before I started, I sent it to family and friends and just practice that way. Practice in a safe way, and then get out there. Your clients will love it.
I love it. All right, John, we're wrapping up here. I want to say thank you, my friend. This has been a long time coming. And one of my favorite things to do in my life is to play with old friends in new forums, new conversations. I wish it weren't challenging times like 2020. We'd be sitting here in the same room side by side delivering. And I know that day will come very soon. So I just want to say thanks for everybody who joined us. We will have a recorded version of this for people who registered who could make it. I know there's some folks from Cal Western. Thanks for the support there. We'll make sure we get this out. We can get this out to the alumni groups as well. Idaho as well. I know you've got some groups up there, John, that we can get this out to. Myself, Monica's helped us with some marketing in the Phoenix legal community, Scottsdale Bar Association, et cetera. So hang tight. We'll get the recorded version out. Thank you so much, John. Those 5 strategies, do them well. We always say, get out of your should zone, make it happen, and take action. Everybody stay safe. Any parting words, John, before I let everybody go?
You know what? Like I started off today, right? These are kind of crazy times that we're living in. There's just no doubt about it. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something else, expecting a different result. You can do better. You can be different. You can think bigger. You can think bigger than you could ever imagine, and you can achieve anything you want, regardless of what is going on in the world around you. You just have to start moving in that direction. Define it, write it down, and get going.
Love it. Give us your website real quick before we sign off.
Sure. It's just my name. It's www.johnrkormanik.com. Get on there. You'll see that ADE process that I talked about. You'll see what I'm all about. You know, I've got a bio on there. There's a link. If you want to get on my calendar to have a call, you can auto schedule yourself. I'd love to talk with you. You know, I know that we have, you know, there are a lot of folks here. And if my calendar were to fill up with talking with folks who attended this webinar, I'm happy to do it. And Mike, I want to say that if for the people who registered who are getting the link, I'm going to get you a free resource. It's a simple financial dashboard. So that you can take a look at where your firm is money-wise, any day of the week, anytime. You can look at profit, you can look at where money's going. And that's free to folks because it's important. It's important. It's the first thing that I talked about today because it's what keeps people up at night. It's a simple dashboard. You can use it. It'll be great for you. So that's for being here. That shows my appreciation for you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Everyone, be safe out there and look out for a recorded version next week. Take care.
Take care, everyone.